and it has a little bit of a talk about my shoulder and my disability, how it works for me. Because I know sometimes some of you think like, oh, she's pretty, she's not disabled. So, and maybe you don't think that. Maybe you wonder like, how is she disabled? So, just a real quick thing. The way I'm disabled, a disability is something that impacts your life. It impacts you in a way that you can't do things the way you would normally or everyone else would do it. So for me, if I did a load of dishes in the dishwasher, it could take me up to a half an hour to do it because I have to stop and rest if I can even get it. So sometimes I don't do dishes at all. I have my son do them. The same thing cooking. I can't stand and cook for a long time. Microwave's not too much of a problem because I just pop it in the microwave. But I don't like to eat microwave food if I can because I'm supposed to be losing weight to help with my big old fat arms because the weight on the arms can aggravate the nerves. So I'm trying to deal with that. And the doctors truly believe the only thing that's wrong with my shoulder is a very acute case of tendonitis and inflammation in the cartilage and the muscles. So that being said, my nerves are reading it wrong and they're sending it to my head and messing me up. Also, the fibromyalgia, when I get overly in pain or sick or whatever, then kicks in and makes me sicker. So I apologize for the wonderful hair day, but this is my new hair color for a little bit. Thought we'll do a reddy orange fox. Probably in 2 weeks we'll put a wash on it. It'll be a purple. We'll see how that turns out. It's all about exploration. Exploration. Okay, so it's warm here, but not warm enough really. It's just that I go from being frozen like an ice cube to being hot and have to undress. So, and we were outside doing yard work, which is I share with you. All right, that's done. Let's move on. So today is Mother's Day here in America. And I say that because in other places it's not necessarily Mother's Day. Their Mother's Days are on different days. A lot of places have Mother's Day, but they don't all have it on the same day. Last year I did the Ode to Motherhood. This year I'm going to talk about me personally and motherhood. When I was 16 years old, I decided I wanted to have a baby. I didn't have one at 16, but I wanted to have a baby. I didn't have one at 16 though because I knew that I was not equipped to take care of myself, much less another child, and because I had boyfriends and things like that and they wanted to get married and have children. I didn't really want to go that route. I was a super feminist kind of woman and I wanted to have a baby by myself and not really have the other half. I know there's probably fathers out there going, what? But I didn't want to take away a baby from someone else either. I wanted to do it my own way. And at the time when I was 16, the only science fiction was clones and things like that. I wanted to have a child because I wanted something that would love me unconditionally. And I didn't have to prove myself to them per se, at least until I became a teenager. Then everybody has proved themselves to teenagers. But I wanted, I had such an issue in my life feeling loved. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't loved. I probably was. But my mental health issues was I couldn't translate what people were doing to equal out love to me. I didn't read how they were as being love. Because my father was an alcoholic and he was very vicious. And my mother was a really strong woman who stood up to him. And she'd leave when he got really vicious. But she always went back. So love was always this idea of something that was kind of given away, taken away, given away, taken away. If you're good, I love you. If you're bad, I don't. Sometimes if you're bad, I love you. I'll pay attention to you because you can't help being bad, but then it's a wrong kind of love. So you have all these weird mixtures of love, and then it was all always hooked into, if you do this, I will love you. So I thought having a child who I could bring up differently than how I was brought up would feel secure. And I have to tell you, having an adult child and one is teen, you really can't get rid of that insecurity that some kids feel. Other kids never feel security. They feel strong from the get-go. And it doesn't matter which family they're in. They can be in a family that supports that. They can be in a family that doesn't support that. When they're in a family that doesn't support that, they are called egotistical. They're called selfish. They're called stubborn. All the bad things. When they're in a family that supports that, they are considered precious and genius and intelligent and tenacious and all those other words that are kind of more positive. So I was in my family. I was the oldest. I was supposed to be a role model. I got more connection from my grandmother than I have ever gotten with my mom. My connection with my mom now is better, so we're all good. I can say I love you. She can say it back because she has a whole different lifestyle. But all the way up until the last 5 years, it has always been kind of a relationship with one person thinking they're doing the best and the other person not seeing that. And that's part of my mental health issues. She could have been doing the best she could, and I still would have had a hard time with that. There are children who are born who need love. They like suck it up. They're like little sponges. You might know some of them. They're like, and I need more and more and more. Give me more love. And then there are ones who are like, I'm really comfortable being myself. Don't worry about it. So I was one of those children. I was okay being by myself, but I wanted love to be shown to me in ways that I could actually see it, because it wasn't really like there. You know, like the answer was, do you love me? Yeah, sure I do. Oh, okay, but I don't feel like it. Can you show me? So that's why when I was 16, I wanted to have a baby, because I thought, you know, I'd probably be a pretty good mom. I have a good sense of how people feel. I have high amounts of empathy. I can't say that I have high amounts of compassion, because I don't know what to compare that to. But I'm pretty compassionate in the fact that if you tell me something, and even if I don't understand it, I can try to put myself in your shoes and see where you're coming from and say, yeah, I could see where that could be a real problem. I have worked with some very society non-desirable people, so I've had to be able to do that. But I thought having a child was a really serious thing. So I was supposed to get married. I had an engagement ring. We had a date set, everything. And the whole purpose we were getting married, because I didn't want to get married. I fell in love with this guy, but I didn't want to marry him, was because I wanted to have children. And there wasn't going to be no children unless we were married. That was his thing. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll marry you, yeah. I never really wanted to get married because the only kind of love I felt I could make a vow to was to a child. So we broke up, and I was heartbroken, and it didn't work. And then I met a gentleman who said, yeah, sure, let's do that. Let's have a baby. And I was excited. I mean, I will always thank him for that, because I got my daughter. My daughter's lived with me most of her life. She's spent time with her father. I never took her away. They were connected. Same thing with my son. They're connected. Everyone's happy, and that's good. But when my daughter was born, first I didn't have this. I thought I was going to have immediate connection. I mean, I hated being pregnant. Pregnant was like, ugh. Really? How can people enjoy being pregnant? The best thing about pregnancy is when the baby starts to move. But my children didn't move a lot, so they always scared me. I got dead babies inside me. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, where I failed. But when she was born, I didn't feel this instantaneous connection that people talk about. But I noticed I never feel all these things that society says you're supposed to feel. I have to kind of warm myself into it. I have to kind of feel it. I want the real thing. I don't want it to be... And I'm not making fun of anybody, and I'm not putting anybody down. This is just about me. I want to experience it on the whole. So I was having a really hard time making connection to my daughter. I was having a hard time breastfeeding her. It was just, and then depression hit, and I was like, this was a bad mistake. I am not a great mom. But I sat down with her. She was itty bitty, like her head fit in your thing, just itty bitty. And I looked at her, and oh my God, it makes me cry when I think about her. She was so cute, and she was so, I never really liked babies. I wasn't a baby person. I know that sounds funny. I like them when they start talking to you. I like when they get sassy with you. I like when they start exploring the world, because I'm kind of a teacher by nature. But she was so darling. She had these beautiful blue eyes. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to make a vow. And I made it to my gods, because I wasn't religious. I was an atheist up until I was pregnant, and then I wasn't. I was like, oh no, there's something else at work here. I don't know what it is, but there's something else. And then once you do make that connection with your child, you want there to be something else out there. So I just believe in fairy tales anyway, so I'm good with it. And I made a vow that I would always think of her first as much as possible. It's hard when you're egotistical Leo. She's a Leo too. And I promised that I would make an effort to always listen, and that in my eyes I would always love her no matter what she did. And that's true. Even if you're the parent of a serial killer, and well, usually if you're a parent of a serial killer, you weren't very nice to your children anyway, but even if you are a parent who had a child who did something horrible and you didn't understand it, you still feel a connection to them. So, and I made that vow to her. Then I made it with my son. Made it with my grandson. And what does motherhood mean to me is that I was always sure my children would hate me. Because everyone in the world didn't really like me. I won't say they hated me, but they didn't like me. I didn't have connections. I don't have close connections. I have a really hard time. I do good on, like surface connections, but when we want to get really in depth and have somebody that you can be really, really close to, I don't do so well. And that's just because of my depression. That's just because of the mental health issues. That's just because of the way I see the world is different. And no matter how much I school myself that it's not personal, they have, that the way that I feel is probably generated more in me than on anyone else. It's still hard to make those connections. But my children were my lifesaver. They, my daughter especially came at a time when I really thought I had gotten booted from the Army due to problems with my back and my shoulders. And I didn't have any place to go. I was homeless. I didn't know, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to get there. I still couldn't go to school because my parents, they were still looking at my parents' IRS stuff. So my dad made way too much money for me ever to go to school. I didn't really luck out with jobs because I've never been one of these people. I am, but I'm not very good in jobs where I have to, it's the same job over and over and over, and I got to keep grinding away at it. I get bored. And then when I get bored, I get depressed. When I get depressed, I quit the job. Usually I find another job. I've worked jobs. I had my couple of jobs that I've had for 10 years that were just part-time jobs, but I got to make the hours, and I saw different people. So that worked out for me. But when I looked at my children, whenever I thought about my children, everything was always for them. Now, I'm not saying some of my bad traits are that every Christmas my kids got stuff, no matter what. There was always food, even if they didn't need the food, even if it wasn't good food. There was always treats. There was always, I had a big old drawer that had treats in it. Just every month I'd throw stuff in there. And all you had to do was ask and you could have a treat. I believe in reward systems. I have done a lot of changing over the time of my parenting skills as I went to school. But when my daughter came, I was kind of at the verge where, because I broke up after 5 years of a relationship of a person I thought that I was kind of in the mindset we were going to be forever, and we weren't forever. And she just came at a time when and I still had depression, even with her, and I'd lay in bed and cry, and then I'd roll over and see this itty-bitty face and know that I was the only thing that was keeping this itty-bitty child alive. And so that motivated me every single day to do the best I could by her. Some days I failed. That's just the way life is. Sometimes you fail. Some days when I was a smoker, it was really hard. Pack of cigarettes, gallon of milk. Pack of cigarettes, gallon of milk. It was really hard because it's an addiction. I have to tell you, gallon of milk always won, but I'd be in bed for 3 or 4 days till I could figure out how to get cigarettes. I was never into rolling those things. I tried. Those were nasty. Yeah. So I finally quit smoking because of that. Same thing with comic books. That was another addiction I had. Comic books. Feed the kid. It was always feed the kid. Always feed the kid. It was feed the kid before I fed myself. It was, the way I parent is because, and I'm going to have a vlog about my parenting stuff, but the way I parented, because it's way big than just this time, is I wanted my children to be successful in the world. I was not successful in the world. I mean, I'm good. I've done things, but it's taken me so long, and now I have to change again, and I'm in the same place I was when I was 21, and I'm doing better with the YouTube channel. I'm doing things, I'm moving forward, I got some plans, but if the internet went off, I'd be in trouble. I'd have nothing. But being a parent is like, I don't know, it was the best job and probably the best thing I'm good at. Well, it's secondary to being a behavioralist, which is kind of like being a parent. I just get to send them back home after I'm done with them. And it absolutely will always, in my heart, be the greatest decisions I made. Even though there was hardships, I've been homeless with my children. I've been in between that spot where we didn't know where we were going. We struggled with food. We struggled with paying the bills. with, I haven't been able to take my children, either of them, my adult child or my other child, to Disneyland. My daughter got to go with some friends, but my son has not been. He's going to be 14. We have a family goal that we're trying to save enough money to get Disney World. Just once. Take him, and he can see it. I don't know that he's doing a lot of stuff, but just to do it. I have taken him other places. That's not that I haven't, but I had to save an awful lot of money, and I had to let a lot of things go, which is why I probably didn't have consoles or other things like that. So through my life, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a good car, I didn't have, because I'd save money so we could take one trip a year to go someplace, which is more than lots of people have. So don't get me wrong. I took friends with me who'd never been anywhere either, who were really poor. But because being a parent is about sharing and seeing the world and expanding your children's minds. And again, this is my opinion only. I mean, you may have a totally different idea of how parenthood should go, and that's fine. I base my parenting on a lot of research stuff out there, but it changes. People have popular ideas and people don't. Anyway, so it's talked really fast because I had a lot I wanted to say, and here's the thing I want to say. Whether there was a day to celebrate Mother's Day or not, I don't care. I love my children. I'm glad my mother brought me in the world, even though she made it seem like it was a hardship on her. I'm always, always so thankful that she did, except for those times with depression when I was going to hurt myself. But for the most part now, when I look back at it, I am so very happy that I'm here and I have my children. And now that I'm experiencing this whole new adventure in my life called video creation, I am glad I am where I am. I wish the disability wasn't here, but maybe it was, in the long run, maybe it's a better thing because I can reach out to more people and talk about the things that I know that might help them a little better in life. All right, that's it. That was fast. It's a little long, and I'll catch you all on flip side. Peace. Have a great day. Greetings, all Shardvixen. And you can't see me right now because I put this little short in. So last time I tried to show you stuff and explain something, it didn't work. But this is my front yard, and the grass here was about 3 feet high, and it was all in my little rosy garden thing. When I first moved in here, this was all like horrible rocks, spiders, a couple of snakes, and just nasty ass junk. And then so all the roses, which aren't in really great health shape, I can't get the ladybugs to stay on them whether I buy them or not. All of these roses came from itty bitty clippings that I got from various people I know and made them. It's kind of illegal to do that because roses, believe it or not, have trademarks and copyrights on them because they're created to look a certain way. I collect rainwater through this winter, springtime, and that's on my bottles there. Not as much as I usually have. They have a spectacular rainwater filter system that you can put right on where your rails come out, and it filterizes it and then keeps the water and stores it, and it holds up to like anywhere from 20 to 30 gallons of water, and then you can use that water to do your grass and all that stuff. I just collect it in plastic and put it, and then I recycle these plastic bottles because some of these can't be recycled, you know, for cash here in Oregon. Some places I know don't do that. So that rose bush right there started out like this big. That one's doing way better than this one over here, but they're two different types. And then over here I have raspberries, which I'm not sure how well they're doing. Raspberries take forever to grow, and I think I have another blackberries, and I gotta watch them because blackberries are stinky little weeds. They're actually weeds, and they will go tunnel under the ground and then pop out. So you gotta cut them. This guy over here, he had them all up and down his fence and in between the two fences, and he had to come in and they had to rip everything out and put up a whole new fence, and you can see where the fence is starting to fall. That's it. Now, one of the reasons I was going to show you this is all the stuff that was there, is people always talk to me about my disability. And you're like, if she can play games, she can come out here and do this. So this would normally have taken me like 5 minutes to do. I'd have come out here, weeded it down, and that would have been it and everything. It took me an hour or so. I'm really out of breath. My shoulder's really sore. And it's because the way, besides the fibromyalgia, which when I exercise makes me even more tired, even though it's good for me to exercise. Look, here's Adele. Meow, 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 kitty. Even with that, what happens is then I have what they think is inflamed tendonitis and frozen shoulder in my right shoulder. And so the fibromyalgia is sending information to my brain that it's way worse than it is. So sometimes when I use my shoulder, it feels like I just broke it, like the pain. I don't know if you ever had a broken finger, there's this, or broken anything, there's this sharp pain that goes from one part of the body to the other part of the body. It's not ever in just the break area. It's like it travels up and down. So when that happens, my brain sends it, it overloads my brain, and it like brings me to my knees in tears. I've even thrown up because the pain's so bad. It'll go away. It goes away within 15 minutes or so. That's the longest. But then I get tired, I get stressed, I get depressed, and then I'm sick for 2 days with fibromyalgia. So they kind of bounce between each other. The shoulder's bad, makes me sick. If I go out walking, exercising, doing some of my normal chores, drawing, cooking, cleaning, all the things I used to do when I didn't want to do them, but I did them, that's what will happen. So I only wanted to explain that because I already talked about fibromyalgia, but I wanted to give you guys a brief little explanation about it. The things that used to only take me like 5 minutes to do now take me up to a half an hour to an hour because I have to stop and rest. My heart goes way up. I can't breathe. I start getting constriction of the cartilage because I get inflammation in my cartilage in my lungs. It's just a weird little brain mess. But I just wanted to let you guys know because that's how it works. So sometimes I try to stay very happy and cheery whenever we're streaming, and if I can't be happy and cheery or stuff like that, I try not to pass it on because there's nothing that can be done for it except pain management. That's it. There's no cure for fibromyalgia. It's all about pain management and learning how to redo your life so that you can not kill yourself because you can't do anything. All right, there goes that motorcycle. Anyway, so this is a brief one. Now we're on to the real vlog. I gotta see how long that was. 4 minutes. I don't want to make it really long on you guys. All right, so on to the Mother's Day vlog.